Hello, and welcome to TechFunnel.com's interview series for Women's History Month. My name is Danny White, and today we have joining us Giselle Abramovich. Giselle is a senior and strategic editor for enterprise thought leadership at Adobe, where she helped shape the thought leadership content strategy. She has spent 13 years covering and analyzing marketing, media, and commerce. Before joining Adobe, she wrote and edited for publications such as Digiday, DM News, Mobile Marketer, Mobile Commerce Daily, and Luxury Daily. Giselle, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, so tell us just a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you navigate life as a successful woman in digital publishing.
Sure. So I'm actually a Ukrainian American. I'm the first generation to be born here in the United States. And that means that I grew up with immigrant parents who pretty much worked all day and then went to school at night to ensure that they could eventually have careers and support us. And so we all grew up, my brothers and sisters and I, we all grew up with knowing that school was really important. It was emphasized to us over and over. Today, I'm married. I have two really amazing kids. I'm actually a remote employee for Adobe, which I'm so grateful for because, not only do I get to do what I love, but I also get to go to every dance recital and soccer game. And I really get to be there for my kids. And that's something that I'll always be grateful to Adobe for.
Awesome. So what made you want to become a writer and editor to begin with?
Okay, so this is a crazy story because I actually had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. When I graduated high school, I became a computer science major. And the reason for that was basically because both of my parents were computer programmers. And I, to be honest with you, was not doing very well. I was taking an advanced calculus class. It was the second semester of my first year of college. And I needed to pass the class in order to move on to kind of the higher level computer science classes. And I had this professor, I will never forget her, but I was seeing her for office hours and getting extra help, and also had one of the students in the class tutoring me. And I just was not doing well. And finally I failed the midterm, and she had called me up and said, you know what, I'm going to let you withdraw from the class because I feel bad failing you, and if you withdraw, then it won't impact your GPA. And I said, well, what do you mean? I need this class for my major.
Right.
What can I do to pass? And she said to me, what is your major? And I said, it's computer science. She said, oh, Giselle, you need to change your major. So I basically switched to English, which was such a complete opposite side of the camera, right?
Yeah, it's on the opposite side of computer science, yeah.
And I switched because I loved to read, and I was pretty good at writing. And then, I graduated, and I still kind of had no idea what I wanted to do. I pretty much applied for every job that required like an English/writing major. And then I just took the first job that hired me, and it was at Source Media, which at the time was called Thomson Financial. And I wrote for a really small publication called Investment Management Weekly, and I hated it. Hated everything. I hated everything about finance. I didn't understand that world, and I knew it wasn't a good fit for me. And a year later, I decided that I was going to look for something else. I interviewed at 3 places, and I got 2 offers and was still waiting on the third one. And it's funny because the 2 offers that I got, these are good publications. They're still around today, but I just kind of wasn't really jiving with the hiring managers that were interviewing me. Now, the third one that I was still waiting on, I really liked him. His name's Mickey. And I felt like he was someone that I wanted to work with. Like, do you ever meet somebody and you just know,
Yes,
yeah. So basically what I did was after the interview with him, he had handed me his business card, and this is probably not something you should do, but I called him and I said, look, you interviewed me last week, and I've got 2 offers lined up, and I'm not really feeling them. Like, I want to work for you. And he kind of just paused for a second, and he said to me, okay, when can you start? And I gave 2 weeks notice, and I started working with him, but it just goes to show that, if you want something, like you should ask for it, because I don't know how my life would have turned out had I not called him up that day. And he's actually one of my greatest mentors. I worked with him for about almost, I think, 7 years between two jobs. And I'm very thankful for everything that he's taught me and continues to teach me to this day.
That's incredible. Really awesome. That's a bold move to just call him up and say, yeah, I don't want to work for these people, but I want to work for you. That's awesome. So you now run a digital publication called CMO.com, which is owned by Adobe. Where do you see the digital transformation heading over the next couple of years?
Yeah, so you know what? I can't talk about this from experience, but I can talk about this in terms of the people that I interview and the CMOs and the CIOs and other C-suite executives that I talk to. And what I'm hearing is that there are really two phases for digital transformation. So the first phase is pretty much the early stage, right? When you realize as a company that you've got to transform. And this is where you kind of start to orient your people and process and technology and culture around the customer, right? Now, phase 2 is customer experience management. So it doesn't mean that you're done and you're not still tweaking, people, process, technology, and culture. It just means that you've built a foundation to be able to deliver relevant, personalized customer experiences at scale and also in real time, because that's the type of world that we live in. So I think that most organizations are probably somewhere in between these two phases, not quite at the early stage, somewhere in the middle, but not, totally done. And I don't think you're ever done. It's an ongoing journey.
Right.
So I think that where we're really headed is towards this kind of next phase, customer experience management, where you've got this foundation and you're able to really drill down and understand what your customers want and deliver on that at every single touch point across not just marketing, right, but every customer facing touch point there is.
Right, absolutely. So you talk about customer experience management, and certainly over the last couple of months, we've seen just the shift into an experience-driven focus. What is the overall customer experience? How are we satisfying the customer? What is the CX UX of websites? What are your thoughts on how this drives customer satisfaction?
I mean, it most definitely drives customer satisfaction. It is a fact. I mean, orienting your business around experiences and making your customers happy is definitely good for business, right? I think that's kind of almost common sense. We did a study, actually, Adobe. We did a study last year in May with Forrester Consulting. And basically it found that experience-led companies have 1.6 times higher customer satisfaction rates. So it is a fact. Making experience, your business is good for business. And then, other kind of findings from that report was that experience-led companies have 1.6 times higher brand awareness, 1.5 times higher employee satisfaction, 1.9 times higher average order value, 1.7 higher customer retention, and 1.9 times higher return on spend. So I think, just to reiterate, absolutely thinking about your customer first and providing them with the experiences that they want, need, and are frankly demanding today is only good for your business.
Very well said. So switching gears here a little bit, earlier this month, Adobe launched the Adobe and Women Employee Network. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I can, and I can tell you as an employee that actually I did not have anything to do with launching that network, but, I do kind of read and I know, what it's all about. But I'll start off by saying that I feel extremely lucky to work at Adobe, because it's one of the companies that really does recognize the importance of, building a diverse culture. And I'm not just talking about race or gender. I'm talking sexual orientation, gender identity, ability, age, right? I mean, we were recognized quite comparably as one of the 50 best companies for women, and as one of the Working Mother Magazine's 100 best companies for moms. So specifically around your question for the Adobe and Women Employee Network, it's all about providing networking opportunities for women across the globe. And I know that they partner very closely with our talent development team to offer, career development programs for female employees. One cool example actually is the Women's Executive Shadow Program, which it offers our female employees a chance to experience kind of like a day in the life of an executive by shadowing them. So, I mean, it feels good to know that you work for a company that really cares and is making a difference.
Incredible. Awesome. So what is the best leadership advice you have ever received?
Yeah, so it's funny because at the time I probably didn't realize that it was advice, but it was probably around 3 years ago or so. My manager at the time, she said, it's not what you do, but how you do it. And if you think about that, it's so true because it's your true character that matters, right? And the amount of passion and soul that you put into what you do that really matters. And I think that as a leader, when your people see that passion, and kind of love for what you're doing, it motivates them to be just as passionate and put their entire soul into everything that they do. And so that, I would say, was the best leadership advice I ever received.
Awesome. Giselle, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your insights and experience with us. We really appreciate it. Guys, thanks for listening to this interview. For these and other interviews and topics, please visit techfunnel.com. You can connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our weekly newsletter so you can stay up to date on what's happening in the industry. Thank you.